Quattro is probably a very big secret to most Canadians, or it shouldn't be a surprise to us that it is a big secret.
Capacity is about 15,000 on the ground at one time, and a good year is something over 100,000.
Motoring 92 is brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
We begin our program on one of the most famous, if not fastest, highway systems in the world. We are on the Autobahn in West Germany. Hello everybody and welcome to Motoring 92. Now as you know, there is no speed limit on the Autobahn. Now I'm doing about 200 kilometers an hour right now and I feel perfectly safe, and the reason is quite simple. Unlike North America, where so many drivers do not seem to realize that the left lane is for passing only, here on the Autobahn, as you can see, this left lane is wide open unless you want to pass. If you get hung out on that left lane, believe me, motorists will let you know in no uncertain terms to get over on the right-hand side. It's called education. And speaking of education, we're now going to leave the Autobahn and go to a driving school where education really pays off. Nestled beneath the Austrian Alps in the town of Sheffield is a unique school for advanced driving. The course is similar to other schools around the world in that it teaches about oversteering, understeering, braking methods, and so on. But what makes this course different is that graduates receive a break on their insurance premiums.
We have get companies in Germany, the insurance companies, everyone who has making a course by us, you get 10% rebate, and that's, I think that's important when you are talking about money and safe driving, that the insurance company in Germany, they have seen that after the course here, they will also be safer to drive. And it's also important that you are relaxed as you're doing it with the steering wheel slow. Not trying to do it with fast steering to put the car in understeering. You should only put slowly more and more and more on the accelerator, and also at the same time more and more steer. Release throttle, you put the steering wheel back but slow. We also teach them how they should brake, how they should use anti-lock system in the best way. And we also teach them how they should change lines very fast without to put the car in the slide, that the car starts sliding. It's about 10 different practicing parts, and the meaning is to learn the people how they can be safer driver, and how we also try to get them to not be afraid in a situation, in a dangerous situation. We try to get them that they should do the right things.
The school is run by Audi. All the cars are Audi Quattros. Quattro is the Audi four-wheel drive system, and since 1985, Audi has been the only manufacturer to offer permanent four-wheel drive on all its model lines. The Quattro system has given Audi tremendous success on the international rally circuit, with a recent victory in the World Touring Car class. Yet, despite this success, North American sales have been sluggish.
I think it's because it's very strange to explain for someone why the car is better, why it's safer. People who can test it, like here in this course, they also see the difference between Quattro and a normal car, and they also can say, okay, the car will also be safer for me when I'm driving on normal roads. But if you should explain it in words, I think it's quite difficult to do that. You can explain it technical. Some people maybe understand it, but I think the most will not understand it, and they are only looking at the price. And there's also some problems to explain why a car is more expensive than another car, because it has more safety in the car.
It was very, very controllable. There was, even though you were giving it large amounts of throttle, lots of gas, the car remained stable under all conditions, and that's the sort of thing that you wouldn't get with a conventional four-wheel drive car.
The first braking was...
Quattro is probably a very big secret to most Canadians, to most Canadian drivers. Or it shouldn't be a surprise to us that it is a big secret. If it's a big secret in 3 or 4 years, then we have a problem. But right now, 92 is our watershed year.
With that in mind, Audi will release only one model, the Audi 80, for 1992, but at the same time in the spring will introduce a complete new lineup for 1993. This will include a first-ever automatic aimed at the North American driver.
An automatic transmission is much more popular in Canada and in the United States. In Europe we are more used to stick shift, although we believe it's changing here too. In the past it has been a problem for us to combine Quattro, which we really strongly believe in, with an automatic. Now we can offer our customers automatic with Quattro, which should make a very good prospect and a very good new segment and a very good car for our customers.
I think it would be very hard for the man that just wants to throw the family skis into the back of a vehicle that has four-wheel drive to justify spending double the amount of money. But for the extra security, the Audi Quattro is certainly a far superior car than anything that North America has to offer. But there's a price to pay for that.
It hasn't been frustrating to us, and it hasn't been frustrating to the drivers of our car. It's just a great excitement to have a four-wheel drive in a passenger car. But we will have to improve our advertising and convince more people, because those who are convinced believe in it like in a religion. It is a matter of lifestyle to have Quattro.
The step up into the Colt is about the same as a regular car. However, the higher than usual seating position gives the driver a commanding view of the road ahead.
Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
This week on Test Drive, we look at a hybrid minivan. This is the 1992 Dodge Colt wagon, a car that Chrysler refer to as a micro minivan.
The engine in our test vehicle was the optional 2.4-litre single overhead cam 8-valve unit. Power output is rated at 116 horses and 136 pounds-feet of torque. On the skid pad, this engine proved to be a lively performer, turning in 0 to 100k times of just under 12 seconds. The nice thing about this engine is the fact that there is an abundance of torque almost from the word go, making the vehicle feel quicker than the clock indicated. If you use the vehicle to its capacity, again the level of torque will be appreciated. Matched with this engine is a 4-speed automatic transmission complete with an on-off switch for the overdrive unit. The upshifts are smooth and well coordinated, and if you tromp the gas pedal, the kickdown comes in quickly. The net effect is that the engine and transmission work extremely well together, making the driver's life very easy. The suspension on the Colt wagon is fully independent, featuring McPherson struts up front and trailing arms in the rear. The addition of a rear stabilizer bar helps control body roll. Being a tall vehicle with a high seating position, the Colt has a tendency to feel as though it's leaning in corners, more so than it actually is. Surprisingly though, even when pushed through the clover leaves, the whole setup remains remarkably composed. It also manages to give the required level of passenger comfort, absorbing all but the largest of bumps in stride. The oversized Yokohama tyres our wagon came equipped with provided plenty of grip, although they did give rise to a fair amount of tyre noise at times. Inside, the Colt offers a very high degree of car-like comfort, the list of extras seeming almost endless. There were the usual power locks, windows, mirrors, cruise control, 3-point seat belts in all the outboard positions, as well as a rear wiper complete with a delay feature, air conditioning and a terrific sounding AM/FM radio complete with a cassette. The only quibble being that the driver's side power lock button is on the dash rather than the door where it should be. The step up into the Colt is about the same as a regular car. However, the higher than usual seating position gives the driver a commanding view of the road ahead. The seats themselves provide plenty of comfort and there is ample head and leg room in all positions.
Given that the sliding side door and the fuel filler door are on the same side of the vehicle, I was intrigued to find out what would happen if somebody opened the door whilst you were refueling the vehicle. To overcome a potentially dangerous situation, Dodge have built in an intermediate stop which stops the two from colliding. Close the fuel filler door, and as you can see, the sliding door comes back a lot further to allow easy access to the vehicle.
The story about the new Colt wagon, though, is one of versatility. It offers seating for 5 with reasonable trunk space. Fold down either half of the split folding rear seat back and you can accommodate longer items like skis. Fold the other half down and tumble the seat forward and you have a very large storage area. Need more room? No problem. Simply remove the seat. You now have 82 cubic feet of luggage space, more than either the Honda Accord or Ford Taurus wagons.
My pet peeve on the Colt is quite simple really. It's to do with the location of the radio. It's located very low down in the center console, which means that it's below your usual line of sight. The other thing is, these tiny buttons are so small you have to look at what you're pushing. That means you're taking your eyes off the road. Anyway, now to the scoreboard for a rundown on the 1992 Dodge Colt wagon.
The suspension is on the soft side, permitting some body roll in corners. Having said that, the amount is more perceived than actual, and I never felt as though the vehicle were going to keel over. The additional torque offered with the optional engine is very welcome. It gives the Colt a sprightly feel as well as the power to handle the capacity. For the record, we clocked times of just under 12 seconds to reach the 100k mark. The Colt we tested featured power front disc and rear drum brakes, the bonus being an anti-lock system. This ensures stability during hard braking and increases steering control in adversity. We required just 119 feet to stop from 80k. The Colt scores well in this category. It offers all the amenities and car-like comfort you could want, as well as practicality. The engine noise is minimal, however our test vehicle did display a fair amount of wind and tyre noise at speed. We averaged 10.5 litres per 100 kilometres or 27 miles per gallon, figures that surpassed my expectations given the engine size and cargo capacity. The new Colt wagon is a car that successfully combines the attributes of several different types of vehicle. Its compact nature makes it highly maneuverable and agile, yet eminently practical and versatile. In short, a job well done.
It's sneak preview time in Frausdorf, West Germany, and you're looking at the 1993 Audi S4 Quattro. And joining me right now from Audi Canada is Eric Gregory. And Eric, it'll be a 93 model, and it's a brand new model, this S4 car for Audi.
It is indeed. The S4 combines the Quattro transmission along with a very high-performance multi-valve turbocharged engine and provides a real sporty package. The S4 provides the consumer with a multi-valve turbocharged 5-cylinder engine which produces 227 horsepower. But the S4 in particular will appeal to those people who are looking for a sedan with some high-performance capabilities. I would say competitors would be considered such as the Q45 from Infiniti or the Lexus LS400, those kinds of cars.
Right, good luck with it.
Thanks very much, Brad.
Eric Gregory from Audi Canada here in West Germany, but it's now time to head overseas and head to the garage and join our #1 mechanic, Bill Gardner.
Today we want to talk about a few of the things that you should carry in the trunk if you don't have one of those glitzy kits that comes with the car. Probably something a little bit more down to earth and beat up like what I've got here today. Some of the spare parts that you might want to have, of course, are things like radiator hoses, a spare upper rad hose, some clamps, a fan belt. You want to check and see that you've got the right fan belt that will drive your water pump and alternator. Those are the two most important things. You may have a series of belts, but at least make sure that you've got the one that will drive water pump and alternator, because those are critical items. A set of booster cables so that you could revive your car if you've forgotten and left your lights on, killed your battery, or you want to give another motorist a boost. Great thing to have. I'm sure most people have those already. Some shaped coolant hoses. These are heater hoses. Many of today's cars have heater hoses that have 90-degree bends or S-curves in them, and you can't just use a bulk piece of heater hose. You have to have the right thing. Now these are lightweight and compact. You can tuck these away anywhere in the car, but sooner or later these things will burst on you. They usually go right in the outside of a curve where the hot water pelts them, but it's important to have these on hand because sooner or later you'll have to change one of those. If you've got it, you'll figure out a way to get it on. But here's another item that is a good thing to have, puncture seal. It's for sealing and inflating car tires. If your spare is not accessible or serviceable, this can be used to inflate and temporarily repair a tire. Just threads onto the valve stem, you push the button and it inflates the tire. You want to make sure you've got a flashlight, of course, so you can see to do all this. Duct tape is a very important thing. You can fix almost anything with this stuff. It's fabric reinforced, very strong, very sticky. You can use it to tack that mirror on that you ripped off coming out of the garage temporarily. Any number of things. Your imagination's the limit with this. You can patch a coolant hose after you've cooled it down and dried it. You could patch it with this stuff. Many repairs could be improvised with this. Just use your imagination. Another thing, of course, that along the similar line is tie wraps, these plastic cable ties. They can be used to wrap around things or secure a part that's come loose. Any number of uses for that, and here again, just use your imagination. You could have an assortment of these. You could get a lot of things done with those. Some of the tools that you want to have on hand are things like pliers. Vice grip wrench in an emergency can be turned to almost any use. Regular set of pliers. A screwdriver for loosening and replacing those hose clamps on the hoses or using as a pry bar. An adjustable wrench, although in many of today's cars you'll have to have a purposeful wrench like this, an offset box wrench with the right sizes to fit the fasteners on your car. In many cases there just isn't room, or you can't use a tool like an adjustable. Older cars and trucks, the adjustable will work quite well. I guess the most important thing to remember is just to take stock of your own particular vehicle and needs, conditions, and tailor your little toolkit and parts kit to suit your needs, because every vehicle and every driver and his conditions may be a little bit different, and that's going to dictate what you should have as spares and what kind of tools you should have. Don't ask me why I've got this baseball glove, but I don't know. Security blanket? Maybe I'd amuse myself till I could figure out how to fix the car, or till it cools down I could work on it. Who knows? Till next week, I'm Bill Gardner for Motoring 92.
Well, we're out beside my favorite highway once again, the Autobahn. This stretch is beside the Austrian Alps, and with me, of course, is the S4 Quattro. Now, when this car heads over to North America, its first stop will be the first stop for all European cars that head overseas, and that's the city of Halifax. And here's Steve Grant with that story.
Well, if you're sitting at home wondering where that Porsche or that Audi or that Mercedes you ordered 6 months ago is, it's likely here. In fact, the Autoport can accommodate up to 15,000 vehicles, and that translates into roughly $250 million worth of machinery. Now, my first question was, who's in charge of the keys for all these vehicles? Must be a heck of a key rack. Well, the answer is, it's a bit of a secret, all these cars have the keys right on the dashboard. Of course, you got to get by the guard dogs, not to mention the barbed wire fence before you get to them.
Autoport is a terminal for automobiles. We receive all the imports from Europe comes through us. We also have all the Japanese product coming from Vancouver by rail. We also have domestic vehicles coming in here, General Motors, Ford, Chrysler, General Motors for Nova Scotia, Chrysler, Ford for some local, but also to go to Newfoundland. Well, capacity is about 15,000 on the ground at one time, and A good year is something over 100,000, which is our sort of normal volume. We have been up to 123. We will hit something over 100 this year. Security is a big part of our job here, but it's not a problem. Thank God right now we don't have any problems. But we have CN police here on the site all the time, 24 hours a day patrolling, and we have dogs in the compounds from dusk to dawn every night. A lot of compounds around the country and in the United States and whatnot, they do lose cars now and again. We are lucky not to have ever lost one. Our biggest problem is in the wintertime. Probably of all the different types of weather you can get, freezing rain is the one that probably causes us more problems than anything else. Snow obviously causes some problems, but it doesn't do something that stops your work. Freezing rain will stop it, and it's the only thing that ever stops us working.
Not all European cars come into Canada via the Autoport. For example, just down the road in Halifax, Volvo produces 36 vehicles a day at its assembly plant.
Halifax, to move into the Canadian continent, or should I say even to the North American continent, we felt it was a good place to be here actually. Here in Halifax it is, just of that reason, an assembly line, a traditional assembly line. We produce around 8,000 units for time being.
So it's a busy place then?
It's quite a busy place. It's a small in the total operation, but anyhow, we are basically here for the Canadian market and to supply the Canadian market.
This is the first car to come off the line at the plant. It was donated to the province's Minister of Industry. He drove it for a few years and then put it away in storage. Now the car has been retrieved and will be completely restored.
Now, the Venetian was used basically to cover the radiator during the winter to increase the temperature of the radiator. And it's probably used prior to the common availability of block heaters. Well, I'm not sure what the dollar value would be on it. It's particularly important to us because it's an example of a product which has been produced continuously since the day this came off the assembly line. And in terms of the history of automobile manufacture in Nova Scotia, that's quite significant.
911 Turbo. Is this the environmental car of the future? I'll tell you about that next on Kenzie's Corner.
Kenzie's Corner with Jim Kenzie.
You know, nobody's more concerned about the environment than the Germans. They love their forests and they love their small furry animals. And that's why when BMW developed the 3 Series, they took specific pains to make it largely recyclable. And this car, the BMW Z1 Roadster, also has specifically environmentally friendly body panels. But you know, when it comes down to it, Germans would rather drive a car like this, the 911 Turbo. Yes, environment's only going to sell in automobiles when it gets as sexy as this. The recent Tokyo Motor Show, everybody else was talking hydrogen cars and electric cars and environment this and ecology that. The star of the show was the Audi Alvis, a mid-engined roadster with a W12 600 horsepower engine. That's not exactly Greenpeace's idea of the car of the 90s. But you know, maybe it's not such a big deal. The landfill problem here in Germany, only 4% of that is automobiles. And if the Chinese start to burn all the coal that they have to heat their homes, all the catalytic converters in the world aren't going to make a bit of difference. So, sir, if you want to go drive your 911 Turbo, enjoy yourself. Don't feel so guilty. I'm Jim Kenzie.
We're in the ski resort town of Garmisch, Germany. And as you can see, they've got plenty of snow this year, which, needless to say, is making everybody very happy. Well, that's it for now, but we'll be back next week to continue our trip to Germany. So make sure you join us as we bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
Motoring 92 has been brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil.